I was alone at the gas station at 3 a.m. when the bell rang. I looked up, and there she was. I looked up, and there she was. A woman, pale as death, her eyes locked on me like she'd been waiting. She'd been coming every night, same time, same silence. But tonight, she smiled. Welcome to Friday the 13th, where every story is real, pulled straight from the shadows. I'm Caleb, and this happened to me in November 2020 at a crumbling gas station on Route 19, northern Maine. I've got the receipts, the shaky footage, the nightmares that still wake me. Stay with me. This one's gonna crawl under your skin.
Let's go back to November 2020. I was 24, broke, and stuck in a nowhere town. I was 24, broke, and stuck in a nowhere town called Millinocket, Maine. I dropped out of trade school 6 months earlier, couldn't handle the hours, couldn't afford the tools. I've been scraping by on odd jobs, shoveling snow for neighbors, hauling junk for a guy down the street. But the bills kept piling up. Rent was late, my truck needed gas I couldn't buy, and I was down to eating instant noodles and the last of my canned soup. I was desperate. Then I saw it, a posting online. Overnight clerk, $17. Overnight clerk, $17 an hour. Route 19 gas and go. No experience needed, just reliable transport and a strong stomach. It was 40 minutes out, a speck on a map surrounded by pine trees, snowdrifts, and nothing else. I figured, work nights, sleep days, easy money. I didn't think twice. I called the number right away. A guy named Ray picked up his voice. A guy named Ray picked up, his voice rough, like he'd smoked a pack a day for 40 years. You start tonight, he said. No questions, no interview. Show up at 9:45 p.m., don't be late. I asked about the last clerk. Why'd he leave? Ray coughed, then muttered. Couldn't handle the quiet. Something about his tone felt off, like he was holding back, but I was too broke to care. I grabbed my coat, scraped the ice off my truck's windshield, and headed out. The drive was long. The road was long. The road a winding snake through the woods, snow piling on the shoulders. I kept the radio on to calm my nerves. Some old country station, crackling but steady. But as I got closer to Route 19, the signal started fading, replaced by static. I smacked the dashboard. Come on, don't die on me. It didn't help. The static grew louder, a low hiss that made my skin prickle. I pulled into the lot at 9:40 p.m., my truck rattling as I shut it off. The station looked like it hadn't been touched since the 80s. Peeling paint, faded signs for the door. The paling paint, faded signs for cigarettes, a rusted payphone by the door. The air smelled of pine and frozen earth, sharp against my lungs. Ray was waiting out front, bundled in a parka, a cigarette glowing between his fingers. He looked me up and down, handed me a heavy ring of keys, his hands trembling. Not from the cold, I realized later. Stock the shelves, run the register, lock the doors, after 1 a.m., he said. Folks don't stop much. He pointed to a back room door, rusted and padlocked, and added, don't bother with that, ain't worth the trouble. Then he clapped me on the shoulder, hard. Good luck, kid. His eyes flicked to the woods across the road, then back to me, and he left without another word. Last of all, I-17. I should have asked questions. I didn't. The first few hours were uneventful, just me and the hum of the lights. I organized the candy aisle, Snickers, Milky Ways, all coated in a thin layer. Snickers, Milky Ways, all coated in a thin layer of dust, then counted the till, $23.47 in crumpled bills and change. The cooler in the back buzzed louder than the radio, which kept fading in and out. I tried to stay busy, mopping the linoleum floor, its stains too deep to scrub out. The air felt heavy, like the whole place was holding its breath. Around 2 a.m., I heard a thud, soft from the tail. Around 2 a.m., I heard a thud, soft, muffled, from outside. I froze, mop in hand, listening. The wind, I told myself, just the wind, but it came again, rhythmic, like footsteps on gravel. I crept to the window, peered out. The lot was empty, just my truck parked under the flickering sodium light. Snow swirled in the glow, but nothing moved. I shrugged it off, went back to mopping. But the feeling lingered, like I was being watched. At 3 a.m. sharp, the bell above the door chimed. I froze mid-swipe. The bell above the door chimed. I froze mid-swipe. The doors were locked. Ray's rule after 1 a.m. How did ring? I looked up, and there she was, standing just outside the glass door. A woman, thin and pale, in a gray dress that hung too long, the hem brushing the ground. Her hair was wet, plastered to her face, even though the snow wasn't melting on her. Her eyes were big, dark, unblinking, boring into me. I forced a smile, my voice shaky. "We're closed," I called through the glass. She didn't move, just stared, her gaze pinning me like a bug on a board. My chest tightened. Ever lock eyes with something that doesn't feel alive? That was her.
She stayed there, maybe 2 minutes, then turned and walked into the snow. I ran to the window, heart hammering. No footprints. No sound. Just gone. I told my story. No footprints. No sound. I checked the lot, nothing but my truck, the engine still warm from the drive. I told myself it was a local. A prank, but my hands wouldn't stop trembling. I double-checked the locks, even though I knew they were secure. Something primal screamed that locks wouldn't help tonight.
She came back the next night. 3 a.m., right on the dot, standing by the pumps. Same gray dress, same unblinking stare. I didn't open the door, just watched her through the glass. My breath fogging the window. She didn't move for 10 minutes, then walked into the dark. Night 3, she was at the window, her fingers pressed to the glass, leaving no smudge. No warmth, no trace. I found scratches on the door the next morning. Shallow, erratic, like someone had clawed at it with nails. Night 4, she got inside. I don't know how she got inside. I don't know how. I'd locked everything, but there she was, by the coffee machine, 10 feet away. The air turned icy, the lights dimmed, and I smelled it. Wet dirt, decay, like something had crawled out of the ground. I yelled, "Get out!" My voice cracked, but she didn't flinch, just watched me, her head tilting at an odd angle, like a puppet on broken strings. I grabbed a broom, swung it like a bat, hit nothing. She vanished, but the cold lingered, sinking into my bones. Night 5. I brought a flashlight, checked the back room. Night 5. I brought a flashlight, checked the back room. Locked, but the handle was freezing, like it'd been dipped in ice. I heard it then, a soft, slow laugh, coming from behind the door. I backed away, heart pounding, and didn't sleep that morning. I started dreading 3 a.m., knowing she'd be there, waiting. Night 6, she was closer, at the edge of the counter, her fingers twitching like she wanted to reach for me. I stopped sleeping right, kept seeing her eyes in the dark, hearing that laugh in my head. I told Ray. He laughed hoarse and fake. "Snow plays tricks. Snow plays tricks," he said, but I wasn't buying it. The cameras glitched when she appeared, static, then black. I started a journal. 3 a.m., woman, gray dress. Night 7, I heard scratching from the back room again, louder this time, like nails on wood. I didn't dare check. Night 8, the lights flickered harder when she stepped in, and I saw my breath, frosty, like the air had dropped to 0. I was losing it, but my gut screamed she wasn't human, not anymore. I had to know who, or what, she was. On my day off, I drove to the county library in Bangor, combed through decades of news. It took hours, but I found it, November 8, 88. Jane J9, Jane 4. Jane woman found dead near Route 19 gas station. Jane Doe, mid-27, drowned in a ditch half a mile away. No ID, no family. The photo was grainy, but those eyes, hers, big and dark, staring out from the page. I kept digging. Another hit, 1976, a clerk disappeared from the same station, left a note about a woman in gray. 1955, a fire killed 3 workers, cause unknown, all tied to that cursed place. I went to the diner in town, asked an old cashier about Jane. He remembered her. She begged for help, he said, voice low. She begged for help, he said, voice low.
Kept saying something was after her. He wouldn't say more, just shook his head. I showed Ray the articles. He went pale, muttered, "Some things don't rest. Leave it, kid." But I couldn't. I started asking around. Old-timers, truckers, anyone who'd talk. One guy, a retired logger named Hank, said the station was built on bad ground. "Something's been there longer than us," he whispered. "Something's been there longer than us," he whispered, his hands shaking around his coffee mug. He told me about the old logging camps, how workers vanished in the 30s, always in November, always after hearing whispers in the woods. I didn't sleep that night either.
Friday 13, fam. Ever felt a presence that won't quit? Something that makes your blood that won't quit? Something that makes your blood run cold? Drop it in the comments. I need to know I'm not alone here. Night 9. I was a wreck, jumping out. I was a wreck, jumpy, hollowed out, one shift from breaking. I brought a tire iron, kept it under the counter, told myself I'd fight if I had to. The clock hit 3 a.m. and the bell rang. She was there, right in front of me, inches away. Her face was wrong, too sharp, too still, smiling with teeth that didn't fit, jagged and stained. "What do you want?" I croaked. She leaned in, her breath cold and sour, like rot from a grave. "Stay," she rasped. I swung the tire iron, hit nothing but air. She vanished, but the lights died, plunging the store into darkness. I heard her laugh, low, guttural, echoing from the back room. I ran, left, guttural, echoing from the back room. I ran, left the keys, the cash, everything. Drove home shaking, her laugh ringing in my ears. I quit at dawn, packed my truck, moved south to Augusta, got a desk job, swore off graveyards, but she's still here. I wake at 3 a.m., heart pounding, feeling her stare. I see her in reflections, gas station windows, my rearview mirror, always just out of reach. Last month, I checked the news. Another clerk vanished. Another clerk vanished from Route 19. No trace. It's not over. That station's cursed, and I brought something with me. I keep my journal, the footage, proof it was real. If you're ever on Route 19 and see a light in the fog, don't stop. She's waiting. That's my story. Every detail real, every fear still alive. If you've got a tale from the dark, night shifts, empty roads, anywhere the shadows, drop it in the comments. I'll read them all. I'll read them all. I swear. Like if this chilled you, subscribe for more, and share your own nightmare. The best ones hit the next video. This is Friday 13. Stay safe. The night's watching.
I was renovating my cabin when I found a message scratched into the wall. It's still here, but what was it, and why did the air turn cold every time I walked past that spot? Welcome to Friday 13, where every nightmare is real, and this one's mine. I'm Jake, and this happened to me in October 2020. In a remote cabin outside Bozeman, Montana. I've got the photos, the journal, and the lingering dread to prove it. Stay with me, because what I uncovered in those walls, it's still out there. It was October 2020. I was 29, burned out from my job as a graphic designer in Seattle, and craving a break. I found a rental listing for a cabin outside Bozeman, Montana. Remote, rustic, perfect for unplugging. I booked it for a week, packed my bags, and drove out, excited for the solitude. But when I arrived, something felt off. The air was colder than expected, the trees too quiet, the silence heavy. I told myself it was just the wilderness, but I felt watched from the moment I stepped inside. That first night, I was unpacking when I noticed a draft in the bedroom. I traced it to a crack in the wood paneling. Behind a loose board, I found it, a message scratched into the wall. It's still here. My heart skipped. What was it? I laughed, thinking it was a prank. But the air turned icy, like something was breathing down my neck. I covered it with a poster and tried to ignore it. I couldn't sleep that night. The cabin creaked, and I heard footsteps outside, but when I looked, the snow was untouched. The next morning, the poster was on the floor, the message exposed again. My hands shook as I nailed it back up. This wasn't a prank. Over the next few days, things got worse. I'd wake to find furniture moved, chairs shifted, books on the floor. The air smelled of damp earth, like a grave. At night, I'd hear whispers, soft, muffled, like voices behind the walls. One evening, I heard scratching from the bedroom, like nails on wood. I grabbed a flashlight, pushed open the door. The scratching stopped, but a new message was carved beside the first. It sees you. My stomach dropped. Who, or what, was doing this? I set up a trail camera outside, hoping to catch something. That night, the scratching returned, louder, more frantic. The camera footage at 3:17 a.m. showed static, then a tilted angle, like something knocked it. A faint shadow darted across the frame. My throat tightened. It didn't want to be seen. Ever felt like something was watching you, even when you were alone? That's when I found another message, scratched into the bathroom door. It knows your name. This was personal. I drove into Bozeman, asked at the local diner. The waitress, Betty, went quiet when I mentioned the cabin. It's cursed, she whispered. Last tenant left in a hurry. Said something was in the walls. At the library, I found articles. A family disappeared from the cabin in 1998, leaving strange markings. In 883, a hunter vanished. Locals heard screams in the woods. My skin crawled. I wasn't imagining this. I called my friend Ben, a paranormal investigator. He arrived with cameras and a spirit box. At midnight, the temperature dropped. The spirit box crackled. Here. Still here. Then, the scratching started. Frantic, from the bedroom wall. I pried off a board, found a crawl space. Inside, scratched into the wood, over and over. It's still here. At the bottom, fresh and jagged. Jake. My name. Friday 13 crew. Ever found something that shouldn't be there? Drop it in the comments. I need to know I'm not alone, because what I found next broke me. I tried to leave, but the cabin wouldn't let me. The door wouldn't budge. The window stuck shut. My phone, dead. No signal. Panic set in. I tore into the wall with a hammer. Found a hidden compartment. Old photos, letters, a child's drawing. The photos showed the cabin through the years. A shadow in every one, its eyes glowing faintly. On each, written, "It's still here." The drawing, a stick feeder, scratched out in red, with, "It took him." The last photo was me, taken days ago, the shadow's hand on my shoulder. A laugh, low, guttural, came from the crawl space. I turned, and there it was. A figure, tall and thin, crawling out of the wall. Its eyes gleamed, black and endless. I screamed, swung the hammer, hit air. The lights died. Its hands, cold, bony, grabbed me. I thrashed, screamed, "Let me go." Darkness took me. I woke on the porch, the door open, snow on my clothes. The photos were gone, the messages smoothed over. I drove back to Seattle, left everything behind. But the scratching follows me, in my apartment, my car, my dreams. I see shadows that don't match mine. It's still here. This was real. October 2020, Bozeman, Montana. I've got the journal, the footage, the scars. Next time you hear a scratch, listen close. Is it the wind? Or something else? That's my story. every detail real, every fear still alive. If you found something unexplainable in your home, drop it in the comments. I'll read every one. Like if this chilled you, subscribe for more, and share your own true tale. We'll feature the scariest in our next video, maybe yours. This is Friday 13, signing off. But keep your eyes on the walls. They might be watching.
I was alone in my desert cabin when my old radio started whispering my name. But the voice wasn't coming from the radio. It was coming from inside the house. Welcome to Friday 13, where every nightmare is real, and this one's mine. I'm Caleb, and this happened to me in July 2019, in a remote cabin outside Sedona, Arizona. I've got the recordings, the journal, and the lingering dread to prove it. Stay with me, because what I heard on that radio, it's still out there, waiting for someone new to tune in. It was July 2019. I was 28, burned out from my job as a freelance photographer in Phoenix and craving solitude. I'd rented a cabin outside Sedona, Arizona. Remote, rustic, perfect for clearing my head. The photos showed a cozy, wood-paneled interior, a stone fireplace, and miles of desert wilderness. It was exactly what I needed. I packed my camera, some books, and an old radio I found in a thrift store, a vintage piece, perfect for the vibe. But when I arrived, something felt off. The air was too still, the silence too heavy, like the desert was holding its breath. I told myself it was the heat, but deep down, I felt it. A prickle at the back of my neck, like I wasn't alone. The first night was quiet. I unpacked, lit a fire, and tuned the radio to a local station. Static at first, then a crackly old country song. I smiled, thinking it was perfect. But as I lay in bed, I heard it, a whisper, faint but clear, cutting through the static. Caleb, my name. I bolted upright, heart pounding. The radio was off. I checked the dial, dead silent. I told myself it was a dream, but my hands shook as I turned it back on. Static. Nothing. I unplugged it, just to be sure. The next day, I tried to forget it. I hiked, took photos, soaked in the desert sun. That night, it happened again. I was writing in my journal when the radio crackled to life, on its own. Static filled the room, then a voice, low, raspy. Caleb, I see you. My blood ran cold. I lunged for the radio, yanked the cord. Nothing. It kept whispering. You can't hide. I smashed the power button, but the voice only grew louder, more insistent. I threw it against the wall. It shattered, but the whispers, they were inside the cabin now, circling me. I grabbed my flashlight, searched every corner. Nothing. But the air, it was thick, heavy, like something was breathing beside me. Have you ever heard something unexplainable in your house? That's when I noticed it. The air turned damp, sour, like something rotting above me. I looked up, and there it was. A shadow, tall and thin, clinging to the ceiling. Its eyes gleamed, black and endless. It was Thordy in the teeming, back and endless. I blinked. But the whispers didn't stop. They followed me, day and night, growing clearer, more personal. They knew things, secrets I'd never told anyone, mistakes I'd buried deep. I started to wonder, was it reading my mind, or was it something worse? I couldn't take it anymore. I drove into town, asked around at a local diner. The waitress, a woman with tired eyes, went pale when I mentioned the cabin. That place has a history, she said, her voice low. Folks say it's cursed. Last tenant left in a hurry, said the radio wouldn't stop talking to him. My skin crawled. I pressed her for details, but she shook her head, muttered something about bad energy, and walked away. I turned to an old man at the counter, a regular named Hank. He leaned in, his voice gravelly. "You're not the first. That cabin's been empty for years. People hear things, see things. No, they don't stay long." He wouldn't say more, just told me to leave while I still could. I went back to the cabin, my mind racing. That night, I heard it again, the radio whispering my name, even though it was shattered. I grabbed my journal, started writing everything down, hoping to make sense of it. But the whispers, they were inside my head now, taunting me. "You can't escape. I know what you did. I know what you did." My hands shook. What did it mean? What did it know? I had to find out. On the 5th night, I decided to confront it. I sat at the table, the radio's pieces in front of me, and waited. At midnight, the whispers came, louder, clearer, like they were right beside me. "Caleb, confess." My heart pounded. "Confess what?" I shouted. "What do you want?" The room went silent. Then, a voice, calm, cold. "The truth." I froze. The truth about what? My past? My secrets? I didn't know. But the voice, it knew. It started listing them. Mistakes, regrets, things I'd never told a soul. I clamped my hands over my ears, but it was inside my mind. Relentless. I screamed. The whispers laughed, low, guttural. I grabbed the journal, threw it into the fire. The whispers stopped. The air cleared. I thought it was over. But it wasn't. The next morning, I found it, the journal, untouched, sitting on the table. I opened it, and my blood ran cold. The pages were filled with my handwriting, but I hadn't written them. It was my secrets, my fears, everything the voice had whispered. And on the last page, a message. "I'm still here." I dropped it, backed away. That's when I saw it. The shadow, standing in the doorway, its eyes gleaming. Its eyes gleaming. I ran, left everything behind, drove straight back to Phoenix. But the whispers, they followed me. I hear them in the static of my car radio, in the hum of my apartment's AC. It's still out there, waiting. This was real. July 2019, Sedona, Arizona. I've got the recordings, the journal, the scars. If you don't believe me, check the comments. I'll share what I can. So, next time you hear static, ask yourself, who's really listening? That's my story. Every detail real. Every fear still with me. If you've experienced something unexplainable, drop it in the comments. I'll read every one. And if this terrified you, hit that like button, subscribe, and share your own true horror story in the comments or join our Discord server, link in the bio. We'll feature the scariest ones in our next video, and yours might be next. This is Friday 13, signing off, but remember, the shadows are always listening.
I was walking through the halls when the air grew heavy, like the walls were closing in. Then I heard it. A whisper, clear as day, saying, "Get out." But I was alone in the room. Or so I thought. Welcome to Friday 13, where every nightmare is real. And this one's mine. I'm Lucas. And this happened to me on October 13th, 2019, in the Lalaurie Mansion in New Orleans. Stay with me, because what I experienced in that house, it's still there, waiting for someone new to explore its halls. It was October 12th, 2019. I was 26, visiting New Orleans for a friend's bachelor party. I'd always been drawn to the city's haunted history, and the Lalaurie Mansion was at the top of my list. The stories were brutal, Delphine Lalaurie, a socialite who tortured her slaves in the 1800s, her mansion a site of unspeakable horrors. I had heard the tales of ghostly screams, apparitions, even objects moving on their own. My friends weren't interested, but I couldn't resist. I booked a private tour for the next night, October 13th. I thought it'd be a thrill, maybe a little spooky. I had no idea what I was walking into. The tour started at 8 p.m. The guide, a local named Marie, led me through the grand foyer, her voice low as she recounted the mansion's dark past. She spoke of the fire in 1834, but revealed the horrors in the attic, the tortured souls who never left. I felt a chill, but I told myself it was just the stories getting to me. As we moved through the rooms, the air grew heavier, like the weight of the past pressing down. Marie smiled. Ready to see the attic? I nodded, but my gut screamed to turn back. The holes were narrow, the wallpaper peeling, the portraits on the walls watching us with hollow eyes. Marie led me to the staircase, her footsteps echoing. Halfway up, I heard it, a faint whisper, like a breath against my ear. Get out. I froze. Did you hear that? I asked. Marie turned, her face pale. You what? She said. I shook my head, told myself it was the wind, but the air, it was still, suffocating. We reached the attic door, and Marie paused. This is where it happened, she whispered. I pushed it open, and the smell hit me. Damp, sour, like something rotting in the walls. My hands shook as I stepped inside. The attic was dark, the beams casting long shadows. Marie stayed by the door, her eyes darting nervously. I walked deeper, flashlight in hand, my heart pounding. That's when I saw it. A figure, hunched in the corner, its back to me. I blinked. It was gone. My throat tightened. Marie, I called. She didn't answer. I turned, and there she was, standing inches from me, her eyes wide, her breath ragged. We need to go, she whispered. But before I could move, the door slammed shut. The whisper started, soft at first, then louder, angrier. Get out! Get out! I grabbed the handle. It wouldn't budge. Panic set in. I pounded on the door, shouting for help. Then, silence. The door creaked open on its own. Marie was gone. I was alone in the attic. The door open, but the house dead silent. I called out, Marie? No answer. My flashlight flickered, the beam dimming. I fumbled for my phone, dead. The whispers came again, circling me. Lucas, stay. I spun around, and there it was, a woman, pale and gaunt, her eyes black pits, her dress tattered and blood-stained. She smiled, her teeth jagged. I backed away, but she stepped closer, her hand reaching out. I felt it, a jolt of cold, like ice in my veins. I screamed, ran for the door, didn't stop until I was outside. I found Marie outside, waiting by the gate. Where were you? I gasped. She frowned. I was right behind you. But I knew she hadn't been. I didn't tell her what I'd seen. Not yet. But the feeling didn't leave. That night, in my hotel room, I heard it again. Those whispers, soft but clear. Come back. Stay. I didn't sleep. The next day, I left New Orleans. But the whispers, they follow me. I hear them in my dreams, in the silence. You're next. This was real. October 13th, 2019, New Orleans, Louisiana. I've got the photos, the recordings, the scars. If you don't believe me, check the comments. I'll share what I can. So, next time you explore a haunted house, ask yourself, who's really walking those halls? That's my story. Every detail real, every fear still with me. If you've experienced something unexplainable, drop it in the comments. I'll read every one. And if this terrified you, hit that like button, subscribe, and share your own true horror story in the comments, or join our Discord server, link in the bio. I'll feature the scariest ones in our next video, and yours might be next. This is Friday 13, signing off. But remember, the shadows are always listening. I was driving home late when I saw them, two glowing eyes staring at me from the riverbank. But when I stopped to look, it wasn't an animal. It was something else. Welcome to Friday 13, where every nightmare is real, and this one's mine. I'm Daniel, and this happened to me on October 13th, 2019, near Loveland, Ohio. Stay with me, because what I saw that night, it's still out there, waiting for someone new to drive by. It was October 13th, 2019. I was 29, coming back from a friend's house in Cincinnati, taking the back roads to avoid traffic. I'd driven this route 100 times, but that night, something felt off. The fog was thicker than usual, clinging to the trees like a shroud, and the moonlight barely pierced through. I was tired, maybe a little distracted, when I saw it. A splash in the river beside the road. I slowed down, thinking it was a deer, or maybe a large fish. But then, I saw them. Two glowing eyes, reflecting in my headlights, staring right at me from the water's edge. My heart skipped. I stopped the car, rolled down the window, and squinted into the dark. That's when I realized it wasn't an animal. It was something else. I told myself it was just a trick of the light, maybe a raccoon or an owl, but my hands shook as I grabbed my phone, trying to snap a photo. The eyes were gone, but the ripples in the water, they were still moving, like something that just slipped beneath the surface. I sat there, engine idling, debating whether to get out and investigate. Every instinct screamed to drive away, but curiosity got the better of me. I stepped out, the damp air clinging to my skin, and walked toward the river. That's when I heard it. A low, guttural croak, like a frog, but deeper, more menacing. My blood ran cold. I wasn't alone. I crept closer, my boots sinking into the mud. The croaking stopped, and the silence was deafening. I shone my flashlight across the water, and there it was, a figure crouched on the opposite bank. It was humanoid, but not human. Its skin was slick and mottled, like a frog's, and its eyes, those glowing eyes, were fixed on me. It stood slowly, towering over the reeds, its limbs long and sinewy. I froze, my breath catching. This wasn't a myth. This was real, the Loveland Frogman. I'd heard the stories, half man, half frog, lurking in the river since the 55s, but I never believed them. Until now. It stared at me, unblinking, its mouth opening slightly, revealing rows of sharp, jagged teeth. My hands shook as I fumbled for my phone, trying to capture it, but the screen froze. The creature took a step toward me, its webbed feet splashing in the shallows. Panic surged through me. I backed away, stumbling over roots, my heart pounding in my ears. It followed, slow and deliberate, its eyes never leaving mine. I turned and ran, sprinting back to the car, slamming the door shut. I floored the gas, tires spinning in the mud, and didn't stop until I was miles away. I tried to tell myself it was a hallucination, a trick of the fog and the moonlight. But the next day, I found it. A footprint in the mud beside my car, webbed and clawed, larger than any animal I'd ever seen. I took photos, measured it, 14 inches long, with deep impressions where its toes had dug into the earth. I researched the Loveland Frogman, found old newspaper clippings from the 70s, police reports, eyewitness accounts. It was real, and I wasn't the only one who'd seen it. But the stories all ended the same way. the creature vanishes, leaving only questions and fear. I've tried to forget, but I can't. Every time I drive past a river, I see those eyes glowing in the dark. This was real. October 13th, 2019, Loveland, Ohio. I've got the photos, the journal. If you don't believe me, check the comments. I'll share what I can. So, next time you're near a river at night, ask yourself, what's really lurking in the water? That's my story. Every detail real. Every fear still with me. If you've experienced something unexplainable, drop it in the comments. I'll read every one. And if this terrified you, hit that like button, subscribe, and share your own true horror story in the comments. Or join our Discord server, link in the bio. We'll feature the scariest ones in our next video. And yours might be next. This is Friday 13, signing off. But remember, the shadows are always watching.